As far as her observations about the murders, Patricia Cornwell begins with the murder of Martha Tabram, and she talks about how she believes that the murder of Martha Tabram was committed by Jack the Ripper, but she believes that there was some type of rage moment that happened where something set the murderer off. Because she thinks that if this were the first time that this person is killed, maybe Martha Tabram did something to the victim, to the killer, and that's why she became a victim, and that maybe she looked at him the wrong way, maybe she made a facial expression that bothered him, maybe she said something to him that just set him off, and he went into a rage and decided to murder her. And the reason that she provides for this is that Martha Tabram is one of the pre-canonical victims. She's murdered in early August of 1888, about 3 weeks before the murder of Polly Nichols on August 31st, which truly begins the Autumn of Terror. And Patricia Cornwell is just thinking that Martha Tabram is killed. She is stabbed 39 times. And that is overkill. And she believes that the overkill came from a particular type of rage, where Martha Tabram did something, unintentionally perhaps even, that could have set the killer into rage. No matter what she did, she didn't deserve to be murdered and stabbed 39 times. So I had to take a step back from that when I was reading the book, because I was like, no, wait a second. This is my response. As somebody who just reads about true crime cases, what could be another possibility that would drive somebody to use that type of overkill? Because that is overkill. I completely agree. If you look at somebody like the Zodiac Killer, who attacked victims at Lake Berryessa on September 27th of 1969, stabbing them by knife, he didn't stab the victims 39 times. He stabbed one victim 6 times, one victim 10 times, and 39 stab wounds is overkill. I completely agree. But, again, this is just a general true crime statement. When there is a premeditated decision to commit the murder, or a specific victim is chosen, overkill by stab wounds is very, very normal. And the examples that I always bring up on this channel are Susan Wright, the murderer who was known as the Blue-Eyed Butcher, stabbed her husband 193 times. Elliot Rodger, the Isla Vista shooter, also committed 3 murders by stabbing. He stabbed the final victim, George Chun, 93 times. And these are just examples of how, when the victim is specifically pre-chosen, there is overkill with stab wounds. Now, was Martha Tabram a specific target of the murderer, whomever attacked her, Jack the Ripper or somebody else? Now, I don't know. And to the credit of Patricia Cornwell, she does bring this up later on. I'm just sharing the information as I learned it. As I was reading this particular chapter in the book, she is talking about how she believes that it's either one or the other, that Martha Tabram did something to the Ripper to initialize his anger for some reason, and then he just took it out on her. Or she even does say that in cases where the victim is pre-chosen, there could be overkill. But think of it this way. The Ripper just loses it on Martha Tabram. Then, August 31st, he wants to commit a more intense murder by attacking Polly Nichols. Then he wants to recreate this pattern of behaviors with Annie Chapman, and then he really wants to just make the killings more and more intense. So when he goes after Liz Stride on September 30th of 1888, he is unable to mutilate her. He is able to kill her, but he's unable to mutilate her. So then that isn't good enough for the Ripper, because the Ripper is more about mutilations. So he makes his way to Mitre Square, finds Catherine Eddowes, and he attacks her, mutilates her as well, pulls out her intestines, throws them over the left shoulder, and then, of course, on November 9th of 1888, he commits the murder of Mary Kelly, perhaps the most vicious murder that ever occurred. All right, I can follow all of that. I understand that. It's just I was providing an alternative possibility, and we do see that from time to time in the true crime world, that there are alternative explanations about how and why killers do things in terms of profiling. But Patricia Cornwell takes a very strong stance. As previously stated, she does not believe that the Ripper stopped killing with the murder of Mary Kelly. She believes that her suspect, Walter Sickert, went on to continue murdering, and he committed the Camden Town murder in early 1800s, 1907, the murder of Emily Elizabeth Dimmock. And She is murdered in somewhat of a similar way to Jack the Ripper's victims, but perhaps not as intense, definitely not as intense as the murder of Mary Kelly. And she definitely isn't mutilated as well as, or as intensely as the other victims. So, with this particular crime, I think the biggest reason she believes that Walter Sickert was the murderer of Emily Elizabeth Dimmock is because he made one of his most famous paintings called The Camden Town Murder about this. And, his paintings are about Jack the Ripper's bedroom, the Camden Town Murder. Is he just hiding in plain sight, openly admitting that he is committing these crimes, demonstrating certain aspects of his psyche when he was committing these crimes? I think that is most likely untrue. Instead, I am forced to say that that is just insufficient evidence. There is such a big time frame that has gone by that states that, but I mean, there's a big time, there's like almost 20 years have gone by to the Camden Town murder from the Autumn of Terror. And unless you're going to say something that the serial killer is operating in phases and they have ups and downs, and also that maybe Walter Sickert continued to commit other crimes, I just, I think that it's exactly what I said about the letters, that she is taking a particular theory and just going down the rabbit hole so fast that she's connecting dots that do not need to be connected.